years ago, Lord Frederick Lugard amalgamated the northern and southern protectorates into present-day Nigeria. This, many believe, set the course of Nigeria as a country, as an expression of geography to have its own political pursuits. How has this house that Lugard built fared 110 years after? This is the Eastern Eye. I am Alex Obodo. Welcome to the Eastern Eye, a program that x-rays the political, social, and economic developments around us. From the British amalgamation of 1914 to the unitary constitution of 1999, according to some people, Nigeria has traversed a complex historical journey. Today, the question arises, where does Nigeria stand now, and what lies ahead on the pathway to redemption for those trapped within the union of dilemma that the unitary Nigeria has evolved into? Tonight, I am joined by Tony Nnadi Esquire. He's the Secretary General, Lower Niger Congress, LNC, and co-convener of Nigerian Indigenous Nationalities Alliance for Self-Determination, NINAS. Tony Nnadi, thank you so much for joining me tonight on the Eastern Eye.
Thank you. Welcome, viewers.
All right, so I guess the first question will be, what would Nigeria have been like without the amalgamation of 1914?
Well, there were empires before 1914. There was the Songhai Empire, there was Oyo Empire, there was, all kinds of other formations. There was the Benin Empire that was known all over the world, with diplomatic missions in Europe. Ishekiri, the kingdom, the Wari kingdom, the Shekiri, they had in the 15th century, the Shekiri already had diplomatic mission in Portugal. So we were not living on trees like monkeys, as some people want others to believe. We were an organized society, and it was on account of those settings in which we were living that when the British first came, all those trading treaties they had to sign were with established kingdoms, and it went from trading treaty to protection treaties and all kinds of deceits until they lumped everything together in 1914 and called it Nigeria, without reverting back to the people with whom they signed those treaties. It was just a matter of swindling them of their sovereignty. That was what happened to those kingdoms. And today we have come to where they've managed to carry on with it for 110 years, turning us into slaves in our homelands, in joint venture with the Fulani that were coming on their own conquest mission from Futejalon and everywhere in between that place and the Sokoto area from where they came. So we're just now trying to retrieve our sovereignty that had been detained for this many years in the hands of people who now became our owners. And they found, of course, local willing tools from all over the place, and managing to impose by brigandage, imposing a constitution that now take everything in black and white. Our lands, our economic assets, our rights to work those assets, and everything you could imagine that will make life more meaningful for people. So we're now trapped in a union that is a fraud against us, because they put our signature, the preamble to the Constitution of 1999. You ended with from amalgamation of 1914 to Constitution of 1999. It's just a matter of we're continuing in the same mischief. If you go back to 1975 to see, just listening to what Murtala Mohammed said, or the day he was inaugurating the Rotimi Williams committee that drafted, that's Rotimi Williams and Ben Wabeze that he brought, that drafted what became 1979 Constitution for him. This is what I want. And then he got taken out in 1976, and Obasanjo carried through for him and the Caliphate. And that was what became Constitution that was carried forward in 1999. So that's how we went from the British, the external suzerainty of Britain, to the internal suzerainty of the caliphate, of course, reinforced by the alliance of 1967. What do I mean by alliance of 1967? They managed to find people. If you go to the map that the dotted circle that Buhari was mocking the East with, that dotted circle is some of the rest of Nigeria they managed to put together for the genocide that they carried out against the Igbo particularly. But they began with all the Eastern Nigeria and they began to narrow it down. So that's how we got to where we are now. And what Nigeria must now resolve is that sovereignty question. Do we want to remain in this union? Because initially everybody thought it was only the Igbo that will suffer. But today, Joyce crying, you see what's going on in Port Harcourt. The Middle Belt is being slaughtered. Yoruba, shouting for autonomy and all of that. Forget this lunatic called Kweme Bamidele that was talking about, if we now go to the general autonomy, Igbo will get what they are looking for. That what Kweme Bamidele said in that speech before October 1st is the summary of what brought Nigeria to its gravesite as the unitary Nigeria that's about to die. It is that thing Kweme Bamidele said that explains it all. When you take it from 1914 to where we are now, Nigeria died trying to kill the Igbo. All right. That's where we are now.
All right.
But it is that unitary Nigeria.
I would just have to plead with you to just pay attention to the language. This is live TV. This is not a Zoom call. He's a senator of the Federal Republic.
Yes, I'm paying attention.
Yeah. So,
on the floor, let me explain so it doesn't look like we've traveled outside the rules.
Yeah.
In a Senate retreat where they were debating whether or not Nigeria should return to regional autonomy, the Caliphate the senators from the far north were saying, no, we can't go there. The senators from the south were saying, people want that as the only way to continue in the union. Okweme Bamidele's contribution to that debate was to say that if, gentlemen, have you all forgotten yourself? If we make the mistake of going back to regional autonomy, then the Igbo will get what the Biafra they've been looking for all the while. That means we are handing them, Yoruba wants autonomy, ready to leave the union today if they don't get it. It's just that he's talking about resource control. It is autonomy. Just that they call it by the name they could call it. The Middle Belt wants to be unyoked from the caliphate. So everybody is looking for how to retrieve their sovereignty. That is what is called the autonomy. To be in charge of their lives and their space. Now, choking them to death. Unitary Nigeria is choking them to death. And if their survival is now dependent on returning, on recovering that sovereignty by way of autonomy, to be in charge of their lives in their spaces. And then somebody sits in some corner in Abuja saying that, if we do that now, Igbo will then become autonomous, they get the autonomy they've been fighting for. That's what he said there. And that's why I say he must be out of his mind to be saying so.
All right,
but the rest of the country,
but let me ask this. But let me ask this so that we can put it to rest. If the regional autonomy is granted, will it grant Ndibo what they are looking for? Perhaps, if that is what Ndibo is looking for. Is that a solution to the problem?
The language of grant is wrong. The sovereignty of the Igbo, just like that of the Yoruba and the Ijaw and the Chief, belongs to them, is inalienable. It is the constituent components that will form a union. That's why the preamble to the Constitution says, we, the peoples of the Federal Republic, having firmly and solemnly resolved to live in unity, do hereby make and give unto ourselves the following Constitution. It is the constituent components that will form a union you call Nigeria, bringing their lands and their peoples. And so, when you talk about grants, by who? These are illiterate. These are the people who are talking of it in terms of devolution of power. They sit on the pinnacle of some evil pyramid, and they are talking down on the owners of the enterprise. Where we are now is that, yes, that autonomy, but it's not by them, it's not them granted. The starting point in that discussion, before they begin to talk about what will emerge from what we are rejecting, the starting point is that the constitution by which Nigeria is currently convened,
that's right,
by which Nigeria is currently defined, by which Nigeria is currently governed, and manage.
So
it's a fraud and a scam.
Okay, so if I understand your... apologies for interrupting you. If I understand your drift, your argument is that he doesn't have the authority to grant anything. That's the point.
Yes, it is illiteracy. It is illiteracy on the subject that will make anybody suggest that they want to grant us autonomy.
All right, great.
We are saying we can do without. We are saying that. So for where we are now,
so that we can maximize time. Sorry, sir. So we can maximize time, because there's obviously a lot we need to cover. There are people watching this program who don't have the background of where your argument is coming from. So when you are referring to the owners of Nigeria, who are these people you are referring to?
The constituent components. The Nigeria you're talking about, again, I refer you back to the preamble to the Constitution of Nigeria. The Constitution is the Union Charter. That is the document that makes me a member of this union today. If Nigeria was not occupying Igbo land, I will be in charge of my land and how I manage it. Yoruba will be in charge of their land and how they manage it. And that being in charge is is the sovereignty we're talking about. Ancestral lands occupied by indigenous peoples before political arrangements were imposed on them in 1914 and carried forward by brigandage across this length of time to this date. This is the first time that the peoples of Nigeria have organized amongst themselves. Ijo talking to Yoruba, Yoruba talking to Tiv talking to Igbo, and all of that. That's what we have done across the last 25 years, to organize them to take back their portions if Nigeria is not willing to submit itself. I mean, the organizer, the enforcers of the current Nigeria, armed with the instrument that is for that 1999 Constitution that they say we made, which we didn't make, so that people can understand it. The remedy available to us in what we are complaining about, and when I say us, all of us, the constituent components of Nigeria. If anybody's in doubt, go to referendum. But if you think by pointing guns at everybody, you're able to bulldoze, you are selling oil every day, sharing the money, and no part of it is meant for anybody else. But the pointing guns at everybody. What is the definition of armed robbery other than taking what doesn't belong to you by force? Why will you put my signature on a document I have nothing to do with? I've never been any chance of discussing. You now say, I submitted my land and my people into your union. That's what that Constitution claims in its preamble. And we come back to the ones who swear, defend and uphold it, the ones who are governors, the ones who are senators. Everybody who has to swear to defend and uphold that Constitution. Everybody who goes to contest elections, whether they are PDP, APC, they are all committing treason against all of us. And we have waited for too long, since 1999, telling them that we need to slow down and go and discuss. But they are pointing guns at us, sitting in Abuja, thinking that nobody can challenge them. Whereas our sovereignty belongs to us. Our right to self-determination belongs to us. It doesn't depend on whether they agree with us or they don't. We only need to organize ourselves and take our various portions. We can go to another meeting and form another union without reference to the people, to the criminals who are holding on to that instrument. Crime bigger than that. Nigeria, in fact, doesn't have any right to put anybody in prison for any kind of offense, including murder. Nigeria is murdering. Nigeria is designed to feed on the blood of its constituents today. Tell me why a country that earns as much as Nigeria earns every day will be having people dying of hunger in this number. Why will a country of Nigeria's endowment not be able to fend for the citizens so that they are running in all directions all over the world? And people sit in Abuja thinking that what can they do to us with impunity? And we can show you, step by step, everything that has gone wrong with Nigeria. Will show you the part of that constitution they imposed on us that is responsible for it. Whether it is the corruption we see, or the insecurity we see, or the lack of electricity we see, or lack of petroleum products we see. Every one of those things have provisions that were inserted by decree or even the sheer, size of cost of governance. Cost of governance. How did we come about 812 governments that we have to finance every day today? When Nigeria was working, it was only 5 governments, 4 regional governments and 1 federal government, and there was governance. But some people came by decree, fractured everything into 36 states, and then smuggled 7 and 74 local government areas into it, so that every month they go to sit and share the money they've been stolen from everywhere. I don't know any other, as a lawyer, I do not know any other language to describe the entire content of Nigeria's treasury is a product of a robbery. It's a proceed of crime. And anybody who is willing to participate in that sharing, that is why we say they are committing treason against us. That's the worst form of crime. Because they hijacked our sovereignty to now become the owners of our assets, tying our hands to the back. We can't organize our security because arms and ammunition were on that exclusive list. We can't organize our electricity because it is on that exclusive list. We can't organize our infrastructure. It's on that exclusive list. And you're wondering why Nigeria has become the poverty capital of the world. Whereas the ones who pretend to be governing us are the highest paid officials across the world. It costs an average of 1 billion naira to maintain one member of the National Assembly. What are we doing with that size of governance? And how did we come about the 7 and 74 local government areas that now have to be financed every? You see the madness going on in Port Harcourt. How did the First Republic collapse? Was it not the election in Ibadan, federal might and local weight? How did Second Republic collapse? Was it not federal might in Ondo and local weight? Here again we are, as like a people who have lost their mind, like a community with no elders. But this matter is discussed in terms of the union question. Until that union is discussed and it becomes our union. Today it's not. Everything everybody is doing, we are going to place them on this map you see behind me. Egbetokun will then find out that he is from Yoruba land. The president and commander-in-chief is from Yoruba land. And between the two of them, they are setting fire on Port Harcourt. That is how everything everybody does. The Kekere Ekun, that is Chief Justice of Nigeria today, we place her on that map. She will see that she's from Yoruba land. And then she sits in Abuja and brings Hope Uzodinma from a woeful loss in an election and makes him governor in Imo State. And then the carnage that is going on there. Everything everybody is doing from every department of government, until we have this discussion and we have the Nigeria that's our union. The unitary Nigeria is not our union. The Nigeria that was our union was the Federation of Nigeria that died in 1966 when Murtala Mohammed and co murdered it. And so we stand still inviting all stakeholders, government, political parties, and everybody else, the nationalities, the young people who are running for their lives in all directions throughout the world. NINAS is saying where Nigeria is now, this union, this Nigeria that is defined by this constitution is not our project. And the owners of the lands that are conscripted into that union, first by Britain, and then by the decree of the Abdurrahman Abubakar and his co-travelers in 1999, of course, initiated by Murtala Mohammed since 1967. All of those who are here against their will, all of those who would have preferred to be on their own or to be in charge of their space by way of autonomy, they are going to do whatever comes within their reach to do, and NINAS is going to organize them. We have organized them sufficiently, just a matter of enforcement. Now there's a consensus. The consensus has been built against that constitution. The consensus has been built against the enforcers of that constitution, and that will include people from all political parties, whether they have won or they are planning to contest. All of them are guilty of treason, of hanging on that constitution with all their might and preventing a discussion on this all-important subject.
All right,
and God save you You are trying to build on a construction site, and you have more than 75% of people, including myself, trying to dismantle. You don't have a project.
All right.
Let us go and discuss. Let us go to transition. Let's
Good.
1990.
Good.
And discuss this matter under the roof. Otherwise, people are going to take their portions on their own terms.
Good, Mr. Nadi. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll find out exactly how the things you are saying, how it can materialize. Because obviously, and like we've said in the previous editions that you featured, we have a National Assembly in place, and there is a constitution in place, no matter the misgivings about it. There is a 1999 constitution in place. So when we return, when we return from the break, you will tell us exactly what needs to be done by the owners of Nigeria. Stay with us here on the Eastern Eye.
Changes, people evolve, businesses adapt. National Advertising Conference, NAC, is here with the 2024 edition.
Yes, it's going to be fully packed. 3 days of top-line engagement with the theme
Navigating the Shift, Technology, Culture, and New Business Models.
Date 13th to 15th November 2024. Venue Abuja Continental Hotel, Abuja. Time 10 a.m. each day.
National Advertising Conference 2024. Join us and together, let's shuffle things up, dissecting the impact of technology, culture, and emerging business models on brand storytelling.
Doesn't sound like something you can afford to miss? Register right now on www.nationaladvertisingconference.com. Clear your desk and save the date, 13th to 15th November 2024.
National Advertising Conference 2024. Be there, be heard.
Welcome to Afia TV, your go-to channel for excellent news and incredible shows that keeps you IEI, that is, informed, entertained, and inspired. Need a break?
Ladies and germs, welcome to Lunch Break on Afia TV.
Join Choco to vibe and chill on Lunch Break at 2 p.m. for the latest trends in music and entertainment.
Not like I have big money.
Dive into the world of innovation and creativity with Rochelle on Anka.
It means art in English.
Where creative minds and groundbreaking ideas come to life. Tune in every weekday at 8 p.m. Do not miss Afia TV Official, your perfect dose of laughter, where they discuss what is currently trending on social media every day at 5:30 p.m. on Afia TV.
But in this economy, the savings will save you, man.
And that's not all. Stay tuned for more exciting shows on Afia TV. Catch us on Dstv channel 254 and GoTV channel 17.
I am technology.
I am culture. And I am new business models.
Want to know what we share in common?
Join us in Abuja from the 13th to the 15th of November at the National Advertising Conference 2024.
It's going to be a fully packed 3 days of top-line engagement with the theme
Navigating the Shifts, Technology, Culture, and New Business Models. Venue, Abuja Continental Hotel, Abuja. Time, 10 a.m. each day. National Advertising Conference 2024. Let's shuffle things up, dissecting the impact of technology, culture, and emerging business models on brand storytelling.
Register right now on www.nationaladvertisingconference.com. Clear your desk and save the date, 13th to 15th November 2024 at Abuja Continental Hotel, Abuja.
National Advertising Conference 2024. Be there, be heard.
You're welcome back to the Eastern Eye here on Afia TV. It's a program that x-rays the political, social, and economic developments around us. My name is Alex Obodo. Still have joining me graciously from Lagos, Nigeria, this evening, Tony Nadi Esquire, is of course represents NINAS and the other groups that are making the case for the indigenous nationals in Nigeria to stake their claim and own what is theirs. So, Mr. Tony Nadi, what is the way forward? There has to be a way to engage, to bring whatever it is you are talking about into reality. Or are you not supposed to engage your group, NINAS, the other one, LNC? No, I don't know. Is that not supposed to be some kind of dialogue with anyone?
We have been in the vanguard of the dialogue that needed to be had all the while. From after the Aburi Sovereign Conference, this initiative that has become NINAS now became the only other time that a sovereign meeting of those you call Nigerians. And let's get it clear, there are three audiences that I'm addressing right now on behalf of NINAS. The first is Nigeria itself, that is the Nigerian state as represented by the government of Nigeria, and all of those who gather to, try to govern Nigeria with this current constitution. That is one constituency. The second audience is the one you call Nigerians. That is the people of Nigeria. Just leave it at that, Nigerians. Then the third, but the most important, are the peoples of Nigeria. There's a difference between the people of Nigeria, that is the settled Nigeria. All of us from every part waving at one flag and singing one national anthem, bound by the geography of Sokoto to Maiduguri to Port Harcourt back to Lagos in terms of map. But Awolowo says it's a geographical expression. The peoples of Nigeria are the ones who could have been countries of their own or in other arrangements if Nigeria was not occupying their space today. Yoruba would be a country of 60 million people. The eastern half of southern Nigeria that we call the lower Niger would be a country of well over 70 million people, because we are now going from Do to Delta through all of Ebola, the Doland, all the way to Ogojo. The eastern half of southern Nigeria. Now, why are we saying we need to discuss? Because some people don't understand, even the basics, even the ones with PhD. You saw this Abakoba the other day telling Akpabio in the presence of Tinubu how they could go and write a constitution, as if constitution is just what anybody can say. The National Assembly was elected to make laws according to constitution. The contention of the owners of Nigeria is that they have not made any constitution, and that is self-evident. That is no longer in dispute. That's why the government is looking for how to go and write another constitution and throw at us. Whereas constitution is supposed to be like a memo and article in which we are the shareholders, we are the subscribers and shareholders and promoters of the enterprise Nigeria. It's the Yoruba that will have to sit down with the Ijo and Ogoni and Tib and Berom to work out their memo and articles. That is the constitution by which they will federate. And in going to work it out, they already will have their own constitutions, like every other federation, if we are to federate. And the discussion that should be going on, if you talk in terms of who should we be, because people sit in Abuja now, hanging onto that constitution that is a forgery, and pretending now that they are the owners of our sovereignty to write constitution for us. That's where many people begin to imagine that it is the National Assembly's business to write constitution. Lawmaking is totally different from constitution making. Constitution making is a higher transaction than lawmaking. The members of the National Assembly, the legislative mandate of the National Assembly does not extend to constitution making. Every time the members of the National Assembly sit in Abuja to talk about making or amending constitution for us, they are compounding the treason that was already initiated against us. And in December of 2020, 16th of December 2020, all the nationalities that have been discussing and agitating across these many years came together and presented a formal proposition to Nigeria, that is the Federation of Nigeria as represented by the government of Nigeria, extending it to the states as created by Nigeria, that is all of them who are maintaining the infrastructure of governance, against the peoples of the territory who have not agreed on the terms of union and the structure of that union and the terms of that governance. That is what the constitution is supposed to be settling. They toppled the constitution that settled all of that at the time we federated and replaced it with a constitution, one constitution that refuses to let anybody do anything for himself, that seized everybody's assets and everybody's rights. We now have 68 items on the exclusive list of things we cannot touch, we cannot even do anything about, because the brigands have taken it over by forging our signature into a document we didn't make. And so that discussion, what can be more discussion than the PRONACO, in which we got all the nationalities to come to sit down, and the international community saw what was going on, and the US sent us up a mission, European Union sent us up a mission, and we went all the way. We sat in Lagos at plenary, sat in Port Harcourt at plenary, sat in Enugu at plenary severally, sat in Jos, sat in Kano, and came to conclude in Lagos. And if anybody, the only one that refused to turn up, the only one that refused to join that discussion at that time was Obasanjo and his government. They stayed away, saying that, in fact, Obasanjo went to TV to say we are committing treason if we called a meeting of the owners of Nigeria to discuss their enterprise, Nigeria. But when he saw the kind of people that had gathered, if Ojukwu is part of that gathering from the east, if Buhari was part of the Fulani delegation and Syed Abubakar, the one that is now Sultan in Sokoto, if they were all part of the Fulani delegation to that conference, if Soyinka would be a co-convener with all kinds of other, everybody you could, all the groups that were carrying arms against the Nigerian state at the time, we persuaded them. Niger Delta Volunteer Force of Asari, Gani Adams and his OPC, who was Rika and his Maso, we persuaded them to keep their guns aside and come to this meeting of the owners, meeting of the peoples of Nigeria. Leave government. Our quarrel is not with government. If government was the problem, it won't take 3 days to organize their ouster. It won't take even one full day. It just requires a few people that will go and sack them. It has happened so many times. The ones who staged all the coups that happened in Nigeria. Did it solve the problem? No. So it's not the people in government house that's the problem. It is the constitution that takes everything from everybody.
So
and there's no other way. We have placed that constitutional force majeure that was that proposition since December of 2016. We followed it up. There were formal copies of it. It's still there. Yeah. If you go to Guardian newspaper of January 2021, pages 38, 39, 40, and 41. 4 pages in Guardian is still there. Okay. That is the proposition. And we have followed it up everywhere they gather. But they in arrogance, in stupid arrogance, I call it stupidity because look at where the country has landed now. Whereas we have something we can activate in October of 2024. Make an announcement, the type that South Africa made in 1990, that apartheid constitution had brought their society to its knees. The same way this unitary constitution has brought Nigeria to all of what we're crying about now. It's not the election that will solve that problem. And it's not by hanging on our high horses and pretending that everybody is happy with what we are doing. Look at what has become of the economy. Look at what has become of the security. And we say this constitution can only take us to a worse condition. And it will blow up in our faces if we delay it any further. Because those who are choking in it are being organized to take their portions by whatever means they find to do so.
So who is holding on to their portions? We'll have about 4 or 3 minutes to go. Who is holding on to that portion? And how do you think the ethnic nationalities will get what is theirs? We'll have just 3 minutes.
That portion, holding their portion is that Nigeria that is defined by that constitution is a criminal enterprise. That is, it has hijacked everybody's lands and taken all the economic assets and defined the ownerships and the sharing and all of how they will be managed in terms of governance and who will win and PDP and APC that INEC will declare. Those are the things they loaded into that constitution. And we have said to them, and when I say they, the ones who are governing Nigeria, the ones who swear to defend and uphold that constitution are the first set of culprits in that matter. The ones who are doing political party under that constitution, PDP, APC, Labour Party, and all their candidates and supporters are the second layer. The church leaders that support them with PBC campaign, oh, let's go and vote, under a constitution that guarantees our damnation. They are all together in that criminality. And so we said all of them who are sharing the blood of the people, because every month they go and share what they've gathered for. They're like a robbery gang that has to share periodically. And so we say, can't we come to our senses now to see that this place will go up in smoke if we don't find answers for all of those who are saying no, all of those who are talking, all of those who are now facing death from expropriation that has happened to them all these many years. We said it is possible for us to, since we all agree now, is arguing about the constitution being the problem. The only thing remaining now is how do we proceed from where we are? And NINAS has something in black and white that takes it from first step to finish line. Make that announcement, and we only say, let us acknowledge that that is the problem. Let us commit, let the government of the day commit to solving the problem. Let us suspend the talk of another election so we can do it sooner than later. Let us then allow for the first time the nationalities to come into a meeting to discuss all of how they will do it, first in their regional blocks to make out constitution by which they will federate. In the second layer, then coming to discuss with the others who have also made out their own constitution. And then make a time-bound announcement, the type that South Africa made in 1990. In one announcement, if those who are ruining our lives, endangering us in the manner we're endangered now, will listen, NINAS is there to guide them at no cost. Where NINAS is saying, stay back in government house. Let us go and solve this problem. The big problem that is coming ahead is that while the ones who are there now, the ones who are saying, oh, they are not doing well, we're going to replace them in 2027. We are going to rally those who are choking in unitary Nigeria on a head-on coalition with the political parties that are planning to go to election in 2027. If we have one bullet left, we will not be aiming at those who are in government house. We'll be aiming at the criminals who want to come and continue the life of that constitution by going to election. The populace don't know.
All right.
The people dying don't know. The ones deceiving them are the politicians who are saying to them, come, I will provide leadership. When the constitution is the problem. Peter Obi says it is leadership that is the problem when he knows that the constitution is the problem. And I'm not saying it from sidelines. I'm saying it as somebody who was engaged in. And you had him say it in 2021 that the Nigeria is like a vehicle with a knocked engine. Where did he find the engine to load obedient movement people? Look at Utomi going about preaching big tent and the new tribe. They all know that the constitution is the problem. Sowore knows that the constitution is the problem. Under which constitution are they all going to contest? By which constitution will they govern if they manage to win? And how are they going to win this fellow who came from the flanks to grab a mandate, the mandate that the people in their refusal to listen went to vote under that constitution? The constitution swallowed that mandate, and yet they cannot learn. So we say The time has come for either they listen for us to go to a meeting, or they get ready to contend with the head-on collision with the victims of unitary Nigeria.
All right, that's a good place to leave it. Tony Nnadi is our guest tonight, and I have to thank you so much for your contributions here on the Eastern Eye, the Secretary General of Lower Niger Congress, LNC, and the co-convener of the Nigerian indigenous peoples. That's, of course, I mean, there's a lot to talk about. I think we'll have to fix another date to have a much more expanded discussion on this so that we'll know exactly how the indigenous nationalities can indeed engage and be of assistance and guide whoever wants to listen on what needs to be done. Thank you so much for your perspectives on the program tonight.
Thank you.
All right. That's the Eastern Eye. Tonight, up next is Nka. My name is Alex Obodo. Good night.
And another opportunity for us to gist and me to tell you, bring all the spice, all the things that are hot, trending, and exclusive on social media. Sometimes I know there's constructive criticism. I know that you know how to quote it. So for the people that don't understand, I want to be like, oh, why are you doing this?
Please, I'm not a cross-dresser. I'm only doing this because of the money on Facebook.
There are some people who need to just tell the truth brutally. Let it hurt them. Give it hot.
Afia TV official, exclusive every weekday on Afia TV.